My mother begged me to come home for the holidays. Not asked, not suggested, begged. She called me at 3:17 a.m., London time, face red, voice shaking, saying things like we never see you anymore and the kids keep asking when you re-coming home. And like an idiot, I believed her. I'm Claire. I'm 30, and I had convinced myself that maybe just maybe this Christmas would finally be different. 10 hours on a packed overnight flight. 2 exhausting layovers, a phone battery that died somewhere over the Atlantic. I showed up at my parents' house in San Diego, smelling like airplane coffee, back aching, dragging a suitcase full of gifts I'd bought for my brother's kids. I rang the bell with that quiet, stupid hope that she might pull me into a hug as she used to when I was little. The door flew open. No hug. No, how was your flight? No, I missed you. Her eyes went straight to my suitcase. Good, you're here, my mom said. You'll watch the kids. We're leaving tonight. Before I could even process that sentence, my brother Jason stepped into the doorway, sunglasses on, duffel bag over his shoulder, his kids climbing all over him. He laughed and said, "Careful, guys, don't wipe your noses on Aunt Claire. She's jet-lagged." Everyone laughed. My parents, my brother, even the kids. And I stood there, exhausted, holding a credit card bill I'd racked up just to be there. Realizing I hadn't come home for Christmas, I'd been summoned for a job. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Something inside me just shut off. I smiled, set my suitcase down, looked my mother straight in the eye, and said one calm sentence. That was all it took. The laughter stopped instantly. My brother's smile dropped. My mom's face went pale, and she started whispering, "No, no, that's not possible." Because in that moment, they realized something they hadn't considered even once. I hadn't flown across the world to be their free babysitter anymore. I had come home with receipts, with numbers, with proof. And before the night was over, their dream vacation would be canceled, their finances exposed, and the role they'd forced me into for years would finally be over. But to understand why that one sentence terrified them, you need to know what my family had been doing to me long before that front door ever opened. I'll tell you about the small favors that quietly turned me into their personal bank and the discovery that changed everything. My mom didn't just suddenly miss me when she called crying that night from San Diego. That phone call wasn't about love. It was about timing. 2 weeks before that, 3 a.m., in the FaceTime meltdown, she had already started laying the groundwork. First came the screenshots, airfare prices circled in red, hotel rates marked up with sad emojis, then the hints. Everything is so expensive this year. Your dad and I just can't catch a break. If only we had a little help. Just this once. Just this once was always how it started. When my dad needed knee surgery, I wired money. When Jason's big online business idea left him with credit card debt, I helped him consolidate it. When the water heater broke, I paid. When the mortgage was late, I covered it. When the electric bill was overdue, I sent a little bridge money. And somehow, right after every emergency, my mom posted photos from a new brunch spot or showed off a fresh manicure online. I lived in a tiny London flat. I walked to work in the rain. I cooked at home to save money. Yet I was paying for streaming services, grocery deliveries, phone plans, and random emergencies in a house I didn't live in on, a continent I was in even on for years. I told myself this was just what responsible daughters did, but this time was different. Before I booked my flight home, I slowed down and actually looked. I opened my banking apps. I searched my email. I pulled every transfer, every Venmo, every PayPal receipt with messages like "we'll pay you back soon," and just until things calmed down. Things never calmed down. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop: an email from the bank with my name on it. A mortgage statement. A mortgage I did not remember signing. That's when I realized the truth. Years earlier, my parents had added me as a co-borrower just for paperwork to get a better rate, and ever since then, whenever they came up short, I was the one quietly filling the gap with my credit, my income, my future. Suddenly, everything made sense. They didn't call me because they missed me. They called because a payment was due. As my mom cried on FaceTime about how the kids missed their aunt, I sat on my bed in London, staring at the numbers on my screen, realizing I had only ever been part of the family when money was involved. I almost said no. I almost canceled the trip. But then a different thought hit me. If they were willing to fly me halfway across the world to use me again, I was finally willing to stop playing the role they'd written for me. So I booked the flight. And I also booked a call with a financial advisor. Downloaded 3 years of statements. and prepared the one thing they never expected me to bring home. Proof. I'll tell you what happened when I opened my laptop at the kitchen table and why their family vacation collapsed in real time. By the time we moved into the kitchen, they still thought they were in control. The kids were running in circles on the tile floor. My mom spread out glossy printouts of their resort itinerary on the counter like a trophy. Flight times, hotel photos, family package deals highlighted in yellow. My dad sat at the head of the table, arms crossed, already annoyed. Jason barely looked up from his phone. They thought I was there to listen, to nod, to babysit. I rolled my suitcase into the corner, calmly pulled out my laptop, and said, "Before anyone goes anywhere, we need to talk about money." Jason groaned. "Seriously, Claire. Now." My mom sighed dramatically. "Can we not do this right before we leave? We've been under so much stress." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just opened a folder on my screen, labeled household expenses, and turned the laptop so they could see. The room went quiet. Line by line, month by month, every transfer appeared dated, categorized, color-coded. I started reading calmly. Last March, the mortgage was 2 months behind. I sent $1,200. June, Jason's credit cards maxed out. $2,500. August, the water heater. $900. Dad's truck tires. $600. Electric bill, groceries, internet. $300 here, $400 there. I scrolled slowly so no one could pretend they didn't see it. This doesn't include the streaming services, phone plans, grocery deliveries, or the emergency requests that somehow always matched holiday sales. Jason sat up straighter, color draining from his face as he recognized his own messages in the notes column. My mom covered her mouth when she saw screenshots of her texts next to deposits and photos she deposted days later at nail salons and cafes. My dad's jaw tightened when a payment labeled medical support appeared beside a receipt for a brand new TV. "I'm not making you look bad," I said quietly. "I'm showing you what actually happened." Then I scrolled to the bottom. The total sat there in bold. Just over $60,000. No one spoke. My mom kept whispering, "That can't be right," like repeating it might erase the number. Jason stared at the table. My dad wouldn't look at the screen. I reached into my bag and placed a thin stack of papers next to their vacation itinerary. "This is a simple acknowledgement," I said. "Not a lawsuit. Just a record that this money was not a gift and that I am no longer pretending it was." My dad finally exploded. "We're family. You don't do this to family." I met his eyes. Family doesn't put a mortgage in their daughter's name and forget to mention it. That's when my mom's hands started shaking. Because she finally realized this wasn't a conversation, it was a reckoning. I'll tell you the exact moment their vacation disappeared on, why the house we were sitting in suddenly wasn't as secure as they thought. My dad was still arguing when I clicked to the next tab. He was saying things like, "This is manipulation, and you're being dramatic," but his voice faded the moment the screen changed. A familiar logo filled the laptop, one my mom had been admiring all week. Their resort reservation, dates, names, confirmation number, and one small word next to the status line. "Cancelled." My mom froze. "What? What is that?" "I called the resort and the airline 3 days ago," I said evenly. "The bookings were made on my card. So they refunded the package and converted the flights to credits." Jason shot up from his chair. "You had no right." I didn't flinch. "I paid for it. That gave me every right." My dad stepped closer to the table like he could intimidate the screen into changing. "Those were our tickets." "No," I replied. "They were my tickets you planned to use." The kitchen felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. My mom's hands shook as she sank into a chair. "So, what are we supposed to do?" I didn't answer immediately. I clicked again. This time, an email appeared, plain, official, unmistakable. A mortgage statement with 2 names at the top. Mine and my father's. My mom whispered, "Please don't do this. You told me it was just paperwork." I said quietly. "You said it wouldn't affect me. But every missed payment hit my credit. Every shortfall landed on me." Then a small video window opened in the corner of the screen. "Hi, Claire," my financial advisor said calmly from her London office. "Is now still a good time?" My dad's face drained of color. "Who is that?" "This," I said, "is the person who explained what a co-borrower actually means and how I can remove myself from it." She spoke gently but clearly. As long as my name was on the loan, my future was tied to their choices. And if I chose to step away, the bank could require them to refinance or sell. "You can't do that," my mom said, voice breaking. We can't afford this house without you. That, the advisor replied kindly, is between you and the lender? I ended the call and folded my hands on the table. I'm stopping all payments, I said. Mortgage supplements, utilities, everything. Jason panicked. At least give us time. You've had years, I said. I'm done being the backup plan. One by one, I canceled the automatic payments. Confirmation emails chimed on my phone like punctuation marks. My dad sank into his chair. This is cruel. No, I said, standing up. This is me stepping out of a role you assigned without asking. I picked up my suitcase, and that's when my dad said the one thing he thought would scare me into staying. Get out, he snapped. If you walk away now, don't bother coming back. I paused, hand on the handle. I'll tell you where I went that night and how my family tried to rewrite the story when they realized they'd lost control for good. I didn't argue with him. I didn't cry. I didn't beg to stay. I just looked at my dad and said, if I'm only welcome here when I pay for everything, then I was never really welcome at all. Then I walked out. The California sun felt unreal after the heaviness of that kitchen. I ordered an Uber, dragged my suitcase to the curb, and gave the driver an address my parents had never heard before. A small high-rise downtown. 15 minutes away, but a completely different life. 6 months earlier, after one too many midnight money transfers, I'd quietly bought a one-bedroom condo. Nothing fancy, just mine. I never told my family because I knew the moment they found out, it would turn into another emergency. Another reason they needed help. When I stepped inside that night, the place smelled like fresh paint and silence. No yelling. No guilt. No bills waiting for me to fix them. I canceled the last few services still tied to my name streaming accounts, shared cloud storage, random subscriptions for games I never played. Each confirmation email felt like cutting a wire that had been wrapped around my chest for years. For the first time, my phone stayed quiet. A week later, the backlash started, not with calls but with Facebook posts. My dad wrote about being abandoned right before Christmas. About ungrateful children who forget who raised them. He never said my name, but everyone knew. Old neighbors commented. Distant relatives offered prayers and sympathy. I didn't respond. Because I had something more powerful than an argument, I had the truth. Letters started arriving at their house. From the bank, from utility companies. Questions they'd avoided for years were finally catching up. Jason picked up extra shifts. My mom started selling things she once bragged about owning. The lifestyle they'd built on top of my paycheck began to collapse. Then, one rainy December afternoon, there was a knock at my door. My mom stood there, smaller than I remembered, holding a grocery bag with an envelope inside. A check. Not enough to fix everything but real. We were wrong, she said quietly. I was wrong. She hugged me. A real hug. The kind I'd been chasing my whole life. My dad never apologized. I stopped waiting. That Christmas Eve, I sat alone on my couch with cheap hot chocolate and blinking tree lights, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty for choosing peace. Here's what I learned. Family doesn't disappear when you set boundaries. Only the people who were using you do. So let me ask you, this: if love in your family comes with a bill attached, would you keep paying, or would you finally choose yourself? Thanks for watching the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon.